She said she was keeping our apartment, until I reminded her who really signed the lease. Her 24-hour eviction notice turned into a full lesson on entitlement and karma. When Lena and I decided to move in together, it felt like the next logical step. We'd been dating for a little over 2 years. Things seemed solid, and in her words, we spend so much time at each other's places, we might as well just make one of them ours. It sounded romantic at first, the idea of waking up together, cooking breakfast, and building a home that was equally ours. What I didn't realize was that, to her, ours actually meant hers, funded by me. Lena had always had a taste for nice things. Designer handbags, imported wine, clothes that came with payment plans. She wasn't lazy. She worked as a freelance marketing consultant, but her income came in waves. I had a steady 9 to 5 job in IT, with good benefits and a decent salary, and somehow that made me the practical one. So when we found the apartment, a sleek 2-bedroom in a renovated building downtown, she sold me on it with a smile. "It's perfect," she said, walking through the open kitchen like she already owned it. "You'll love working from home here." Rent was steep. The landlord wanted 10 months up front and a $4,000 security deposit, which would make anyone hesitate. But Lena assured me it was just a one-time thing. "I'll pay you back in installments," she promised, "once my clients send the next payments." She never did. Still, I didn't mind. I was in love, or at least, in the version of love where you convince yourself that sacrifices are part of the deal. The lease itself was under my uncle's management company. He owned the building and had agreed to let me take it without the usual references or credit checks. I figured it would be simpler that way, and Lena didn't need to know that little detail. I didn't hide it. She just never asked. The first few weeks were great. We were decorating, buying furniture, hosting small dinners. She posted pictures online with captions like, "Our new chapter begins." But slowly, the tone started to shift. It began with small comments. "Babe, I'm thinking of repainting the living room. That beige just feels so dull. Do you really need your gaming setup in the living room? It's kind of ruining the aesthetic." I shrugged it off. Then one day, I came home to find my setup gone. She'd moved everything, monitors, cables, even the chair, into the smaller guest room, which she'd decided was more fitting for that kind of thing. When I confronted her, she rolled her eyes. "Don't be dramatic. It looks cleaner this way. You should thank me." From that moment, I started noticing a pattern. She'd slowly taken over everything. The decor, the guest list, even the groceries. Every time we hosted friends, they'd compliment her apartment. She'd beam with pride while I sat there smiling tightly, pretending it didn't bother me. Then came the argument. It was over something stupid, dishes, maybe. I'd forgotten to rinse a pan before work, and she exploded like I'd committed a felony. We yelled for 10 minutes before she finally shouted, "You know what? I'm done. I can't keep living like this. You can go crash with your parents for a while. I'm keeping the apartment." I blinked, unsure I'd heard her right. "You're keeping it?" I asked slowly. "Yes," she snapped. "I'm the one who made this place a home. I decorated, I cleaned, I organized. You just pay bills and make messes." I wanted to laugh. I really did. Because in that moment, all I could think was, she's genuinely serious. I stared at her for a long moment, and then, instead of arguing, I smiled. "Interesting plan," I said quietly. Her expression shifted. She expected me to fight back, to beg, maybe even to pack my bags in anger. Instead, I walked past her, grabbed my laptop, and sent an email to my uncle. It was short, simple. "Hey, Uncle Rob. Need to talk about apartment 14B. The co-tenant wants me out. Mind handling this one personally?" I didn't mention names. I didn't need to. That night, Lena played her favorite playlist, poured herself a glass of wine, and danced around the kitchen like a queen reclaiming her kingdom. I just sat on the couch, sipping water, watching her. She had no idea her throne was built on my money and my uncle's paperwork. The next morning, she woke up acting like nothing happened. She was cheerful, even affectionate. She kissed my cheek before leaving for work and said, "Don't be mad, okay? I just need space. We'll talk tonight." I smiled. "Sure thing." As soon as the door closed, I called my uncle. "Morning, Rob. Remember that apartment I helped pay off?" I said, "Yeah. She's trying to kick me out." He laughed. "The girlfriend?" "Yup. And she doesn't know I'm the landlord?" "Nope." He chuckled again. "Leave it to me." By the time Lena got home that evening, There was an official-looking envelope taped to the front door. She frowned, tore it open, and read out loud. Notice to vacate. 24 hours due to breach of lease terms. Her jaw dropped. What the hell is this? I leaned against the counter, perfectly calm. Oh, I said. Guess my uncle wasn't a fan of your plan. Lena stared at the eviction notice like it was written in another language. Her mouth opened, then closed, then opened again. You did this? She asked, voice trembling between anger and disbelief. I didn't answer right away. I just leaned back against the kitchen island, arms crossed, watching her try to process reality. It's my name on the decor, she said suddenly, as if that meant something. I made this place look the way it does. You can't just kick me out. I tilted my head. Actually, I said, calm as ever, I can. You see, the lease isn't under your name. It's under mine. And technically, under my uncle's management company. So when you told me to crash with my parents while you kept the apartment, I smiled. You were trying to evict the tenant. Her face drained of color. Your uncle, she repeated, voice shrinking. Wait, your uncle's the landlord? I nodded. Did I not mention that? She grabbed her phone immediately. This is insane. I'm calling the building manager. Please do, I said. That's my uncle, by the way. Tell him hot. She froze mid-dial. Then came the silence. Thick, sharp, electric. You could almost hear the gears turning in her head, trying to find an angle. A loophole. Something. But there wasn't one. You can't just kick me out in 24 hours, she snapped finally, voice breaking. Where am I supposed to go? Maybe your parents? I said gently. They've always liked me. Her glare could have cut glass. That night, she stomped around the apartment slamming cabinets, muttering curses under her breath, trying to guilt me with every sigh and sniffle. I didn't engage. I didn't yell. I didn't even argue. I just watched, quietly packing a few of my own things, not because I had to leave, but because I didn't want to be in her storm anymore. Around midnight, I texted my uncle. Me, she's still there. Should I stay out tomorrow? Uncle Rob, don't worry. I'll handle everything. Paperwork's already in motion. The next morning, a knock on the door startled her awake. She opened it, and there stood two men from property management, clipboards in hand, accompanied by a police officer. Ma'am, one of them said politely, we're here regarding the 24-hour notice. You'll need to vacate the premises today. She looked at me, wide-eyed, desperate. You're really doing this? She whispered. You're the one who said I should go live with my parents. I reminded her. I just took your advice. I walked past her, handed the officer a copy of the notice, and stepped outside while she spiraled. Through the door, I heard her voice crack, pleading, angry, switching between denial and blame. He can't do this. He can't just. I live here too. My stuff's in there. Ma'am, the officer said patiently, you're not on the lease. You'll have to remove your belongings today. I spent the day working remotely from a cafe down the street, occasionally getting updates from my uncle. By late afternoon, he sent a message that just said, unit cleared. Keys collected. All good. When I went back that evening, the apartment felt different. Empty, clean, quiet. Her scent was gone. Her noise was gone. The chaos, gone. There was only peace. Still, a small part of me wondered how she'd spin the story. Lena had a talent for making herself the victim, especially online. So, naturally, I checked her socials. And there it was, a vague post. Never trust someone who smiles while destroying your life, broken heart sparkles, hashtag, new beginnings, hashtag healing. I actually laughed. The comments were full of her friends hyping her up, saying things like, you deserve better, and his loss. Sure. But then, a week later, something interesting happened. One of her friends, a mutual, texted me out of nowhere. Friend, hey, did Lena really get evicted? She told us you scammed her or something. Me, nope. She tried to kick me out of my own apartment. My uncle owns the building. Friend, oh wow, that explains everything. She's been couch hopping since. Apparently, she'd been trying to find another place, but with no steady income and no references, landlords weren't exactly lining up. I didn't feel guilty, not even a little. A month later, I was settled again, same apartment, but calmer, cleaner mind. I replaced the furniture she insisted on, painted over the trendy beige walls with something that actually felt like home. Then, one Friday night, I got a call from an unknown number. I shouldn't have answered, but curiosity got me. Hello. It's me, she said quietly. Lena. Her voice was small, tired, nothing like the confident woman who'd told me to crash with my parents. "What do you want?" I asked. She hesitated. I wanted to apologize. I didn't realize how much I took for granted. I was stupid. I let the silence stretch. "I'm not asking to come back," she added quickly. I just needed to say it. For a moment, I almost believed it. Then she slipped, as she always did. "But if you ever decide to move out, maybe let me know. I'd love another chance at the place. It's so hard finding something decent right now." And there it was, the real reason. "Good luck with that," I said, and hung up. That was the last time I ever heard her voice. Point 1 SD update that it's been a little over 2 months since Lena packed her designer bags and stomped out of our apartment, the one she thought she could keep. I'd be lying if I said I didn't think about her at first. Not because I missed her, but because I genuinely couldn't understand how someone could be so entitled. She'd convinced herself that just because she picked the curtains and arranged the plants, the place somehow belonged to her. But the truth? She never paid a dime of rent. Not one. I was the one who'd saved, negotiated, signed the lease, and furnished the place, everything down to the last lamp. I even covered her half of utilities when she said, "I'll pay you back after my bonus." Spoiler, she never did. So yeah, I didn't lose sleep over the eviction. But I didn't expect what would come next. The gossip storm. It started quietly, a few strange texts from mutual friends. "Hey man, are you and Lena okay?" She's saying some stuff online, figured I'd check in. I didn't care much until one of my buddies sent me screenshots. There it was, a long, self-pitying Instagram story. Sometimes the person you trust most turns out to be a complete stranger. Broken heart. Imagine getting thrown out of your home with nowhere to go because someone's ego got bruised. Then, another one. I guess money really does show who people truly are. At least I still have my pride. And of course, her friends flooded the comments with sympathy. "OMG, you deserve better. He'll regret it. You're such a strong queen." The usual chorus. I didn't respond. I didn't even correct the narrative. I figured time would do that for me, and it did. Because the thing about lies? They fall apart the moment reality catches up. Reality check. About 3 weeks later, I got a call from my uncle, laughing so hard I thought he'd dropped something. "Guess who just applied for a unit in another one of my buildings?" I didn't even have to ask. "Lena." Bingo. He said she came in all smiles, pretending she didn't know him. Used her middle name instead of her last name on the application. But her employment verification didn't check out. The marketing firm she listed had let her go the month before. Apparently, showing up late and bad-mouthing her toxic ex to clients wasn't great for business. Uncle Rob rejected her instantly. She stormed out muttering something about suing me, he said between laughs. Told her to go ahead. I love free entertainment. Her new reality. I stayed off social media, but mutual friends didn't. They sent me updates without me asking. Lena had been couch hopping for weeks, first at a friend's place, then at another. One by one, people stopped hosting her when they realized she wasn't exactly planning to leave. Then she moved in with a new guy, some entrepreneur who posted motivational quotes and rented cars for Instagram photos. It lasted about 3 weeks. Apparently, she found out he wasn't rich, just deep in credit card debt. He found out she wasn't independent, just very good at pretending to be. Mutual destruction followed. Meanwhile, me? I was thriving. I'd gotten a promotion at work, a small one, but enough to make a difference. I upgraded a few things in the apartment, finally replaced her ridiculous, aesthetic chairs with something that didn't make me feel like I was sitting on Lego blocks. I started going to the gym again, cooking for myself, sleeping better. The quiet felt good, peaceful. And then, one Friday night, I went to a bar downtown with a couple of friends. That's when I met Emma. She wasn't flashy, not overdone, just calm, funny, grounded. She listened more than she talked, and when she laughed, it wasn't to perform. It was real. We hit it off instantly. We talked until the place closed, exchanged numbers, and started seeing each other regularly after that. The message. 2 weeks into dating Emma, I got a text from a number I didn't recognize. Unknown. "Hey, it's me. Can we talk?" I didn't need to ask who it was. "Me? Talk about what?" Unknown. "About us. About what happened. Please." I ignored it. The next day, another one came. "I saw your new girlfriend. She's pretty. You move on fast." No greeting. No apology. Just that passive-aggressive tone she'd perfected. I didn't reply. Then she called, 3 times in a row. I let it ring. Finally, she left a voicemail. Her voice was small, fragile, tired. I just wanted to say I'm sorry. I messed up, okay? I thought I was standing up for myself, but I was just being cruel. You didn't deserve that. I hope you're happy now. I really do. I listened once, then deleted it. Closure. The funny thing is, I didn't feel triumphant. Not angry, not smug, just done. She'd finally said what I needed to hear months ago, but it didn't matter anymore. Because when someone only apologizes after they lose the benefits, it's not regret. It's nostalgia for comfort. Emma and I are still together. Things are simple, easy. No drama, no manipulation. Just peace. And sometimes, when I walk past the building's mailroom and see my uncle's company logo, I think about how poetic it all was. The way Lena tried to take what wasn't hers, only to end up losing everything. Life has a way of balancing things out. Final update, 0.6 months. That's how long it's been since Lena left, slamming the door behind her, shouting something about karma catching up. Well, karma did catch up, just not with me. Life since then, honestly, it's been good. Simple. Peaceful. Emma and I are still together. What started as a casual connection turned into something real. She moved in about a month ago, after we decided that splitting rent on two places when we were always together anyway was pointless. The night she moved in, I realized something funny. The same apartment that used to feel like a war zone now feels like home. The unexpected knock. It was a Saturday morning in late spring, sunlight pouring through the kitchen window, Emma humming while making coffee, my laptop open on the table. Then, knock, knock, knock. I figured it was a delivery. Maybe the Amazon order Emma had made for new curtains. But the moment I opened the door, my stomach tightened. Lena. She stood there, holding a small box, her hair pulled back, makeup barely covering the exhaustion in her face. She looked smaller somehow. Not physically, just diminished. Like someone who'd been worn down by too many battles they started and lost. Hey, she said softly. It wasn't her usual confident tone, more like someone testing if they were still allowed to speak. I didn't say anything, just waited. I found some of your old stuff. I thought you might want it back. She held up the box. Inside were a few shirts, an old watch, and a framed photo of my dog who'd passed away years ago. Stuff I hadn't even realized was missing. Thanks, I said, taking it from her. That it. Her eyes flicked past me into the apartment. She noticed the new furniture, the plants Emma had arranged, the general peace of the place. Then she saw the pair of mugs on the counter, his and hers. Her lips trembled. So she moved in? I nodded. Yeah, a while ago. She let out a slow breath, eyes glossing over. I guess that's nice. You seem happy. I am. She nodded again, staring at her shoes. Then, out of nowhere, she said, I got fired. It came out flat, like she'd been holding it in for too long. After everything happened, I couldn't focus. I was drinking too much, skipping shifts. I don't know. I just… Lena, I interrupted gently. You don't owe me an explanation. She looked up at me, eyes wide. I know, but I need to say this anyway. And then she said something I never expected to hear. The confession. You were right. About everything. The words came out in a rush. She kept going before I could respond. I was selfish, entitled. I thought I could control people with guilt and charm. I used you because you made me feel safe, and I thought that meant I owned you. But when you finally stopped trying to please me, I didn't know who I was anymore. There were tears now, quiet ones. I lost everything because of my pride. And I just wanted you to know, I don't blame you. I blame me. I didn't say anything for a long moment. The old me would have felt sorry for her, maybe even offered comfort. But now, I just felt at peace. Thank you for saying that, I said quietly. I hope you find your footing again. She gave a weak smile. You really did change. I just learned to stop fixing people who don't want to be fixed. Her eyes softened, a flicker of admiration or regret. I couldn't tell. She glanced inside one last time, probably taking in the life that could have been hers if things had gone differently. Then she turned to leave. But before she reached the elevator, she stopped. You know, she said over her shoulder, I used to tell my friends you were too nice. Too forgiving. Guess I was wrong about that. I smiled faintly. No, you were right. I just learned who deserves that version of me. She didn't respond. The elevator doors closed, and that was the last time I saw her. Moving forward, Emma came out from the kitchen a few moments later, wiping her hands on a towel. Was that her? She asked softly. I nodded. Do you regret opening the door? I thought about it for a second. No, I think it finally closed something that's been half open for too long. Emma nodded and slipped her hand into mine. Good, because I kinda like it here without ghosts. We laughed. The sound felt light, cleansing. That night, I deleted the last photo I had of Lena. Not out of anger, not out of spite, but because it didn't represent anything anymore. People think closure comes from some dramatic confrontation, but really, it comes from peace. From realizing you no longer care enough to hate. The twist of irony. About a month later, my uncle called me again. "You're gonna love this," he said, trying not to laugh. "Guess who applied for a job at one of my properties?" I sighed. "Let me guess." He chuckled. "Yup. She must have forgotten I own the management company." Apparently, she'd tried to get a front desk position. She didn't recognize the company name on the application, but when she showed up for the interview and saw him, her face went pale. He told her politely that the position had already been filled, which wasn't true, and wished her luck. After he hung up, I just shook my head and smiled. Life really does come full circle. The future. A few weeks after that, Emma and I took a weekend trip out of the city. We ended up talking late into the night, sitting by the lake, stars reflecting off the water. She turned to me and said, "You know, I think people don't really change. They just reveal who they are when they stop pretending." I smiled. "You might be right." Then she asked something that caught me off guard. "So, where do you see us a year from now?" I looked at her. This woman who'd met me at my lowest and never once tried to control or compete. Just loved, simply and honestly. "Still here," I said. "Still choosing peace. Every day." She smiled, leaned her head on my shoulder, and whispered, "That's the best answer I've ever heard." Final thoughts. Sometimes people leave thinking they're punishing you. Sometimes they destroy what you built together thinking it'll make you chase them. But the truth is, when you stop trying to prove your worth to someone who refuses to see it, you don't lose them. You just lose a burden that was disguised as love. I used to think Lena took something from me when she left. Time, money, trust. But looking back now, she just cleared space for the right person to walk in. And that's what peace really is. Not revenge, not payback, just freedom.